this finger out of my hole. I've been walking the road too damn long. I'm a crippled and a riddle with doubt. I need to get the finger out.
Hello and welcome to Get the Finger Out. I'm your host Darryl, and this week I'm going to talk about a load of shit. No, I'm going to talk about my experience in reality TV. And before that, I'm just going to ramble a little bit about my week because it's been fucking nuts, but only nuts in my brain, not nuts in the sense that anything happened. Just my head, my head's crazy. As I'm sure a lot of people's heads are crazy. I've come to the realization that 95% of, anxiety and what do you call it? Addiction and everything. It's all it's mind games, just mind games with yourself. It's like you're in a toxic relationship with yourself. If you've ever been in a toxic relationship with a boy or girl and you're playing mind games with each other. I know I've been some of those. I don't know if it was just me playing the mind games, but I'm pretty sure the other person was too. But yeah, it's just like mind games with yourself, So like last week I just had this really... It wasn't like I wanted to drink or anything. I was just having a really tough week. And I figured out to explain addiction to someone, or alcoholism, more so alcohol or drug addiction to somebody who doesn't have it. It's basically like, when you have like a shit day and you don't want to do anything. Now this is just for me, and it's also one form of the many routes that you could go down to end up drinking again, but one of them is for just like a normal person. You have one of those days where everything's shit, you don't want to do anything, and you're just like, what can I do? You don't want to do anything productive, like clean the house or do some work for whatever you do, or you don't even want to do anything fun. You flick through Netflix and you're looking at different shows, and then you put it into Rotten Tomatoes or something, or else you read the description of the show and then you go, nah, and then you try and find something else. Or you just scroll mindlessly on your phone, just up, or what do you call it when you scroll mindlessly? There's a funny word for it. There's always a new word for these things. Anyways, and you just don't, you're just irritable and discontent, and you just don't want to do anything. So alcoholism for me is a bit like that, only you see a way out of all that stuff, and the way out of all that stuff is just, I could just have a beer. And as soon as you have the thought of the beer, unless you have some sort of defense mechanism to stop that, one defense mechanism, certainly for people that go to meetings and stuff, would be to call someone and just talk it out. But even people who don't go to meetings, like if you've someone you could talk to, like a friend who understands. But again, with addiction, people that don't suffer from it don't really understand. So that's why it helps to talk to someone who's, maybe sober longer than you or whatever. So, but again, in that mind space, I find it hard to even call someone. I don't know why I don't do it a lot. It's something I'm trying to work on. So, like last week, week before this week, I think I was annoyed because of my phone addiction. I've spoken before. Definitely my biggest downfall when I quit drinking, the thing that stops me from having a fun, sober life, is my mobile phone. I recently, if it helps anybody that has Apple, you can probably do it on the other phones. You can go to your widgets. If you Google how to do it, you can go to your widgets and get your screen time to be displayed on the front of your phone. So every time you're scrolling through your apps, you can see how long you've been on it. And like, it's only 1 o'clock today, and I got up today at 7:45. So that's like, I've been awake for about 5 hours, and I have been on my phone for about 4 hours. And like, today is one of those days I'm trying not to use the phone. Like, it's fucking ridiculous, It's kind of like with alcohol, and you're trying to stay off it. It's kind of easier in the sense that you just don't touch one drink. You say you're completely abstinent. Because if you're anything like me and you got an alcohol problem, then you can't moderate it. You know, I've spent 10 years trying to moderate it, trying to have only beer, trying to have, you know, a certain amount of beer, trying to go home at a certain time, trying to eat loads, trying to drink water between drinks. All these things never worked. Maybe they work for one night, and then I go out the next night, and then, you know, one of the ones I tried before, which was only drink once a month, and I drank 1 week, and then I was like, fuck, well, I got away with drinking one night that night, I can drink the next week, maybe I'll just do once a week. And then by that second drink, then I'm drinking the next day again, and then it always just crumbles back into 10 days drinking morning to night, being a fucking Egypt. But anyways, so this week I started off on a good buzz. You know, I've been just doing a lot of thinking, and I try not to overthink, but I've been trying to just analyse what the fuck is wrong with me. You know, when I'm sober, you know, why am I not fucking enjoying it? Why am I getting these thoughts? Like, there's cravings in the sense that, you know, you're in a bar and you look at somebody drinking and they're having crack, and then that person says, why don't you just turn your phone off and have a drink tonight, or something like that. And then in that moment, that's like a craving. You're like, oh, and you could leave that situation and that craving could be away in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you know. But yesterday for me was like this, it was like more than a craving. It was like an absolute complete want to drink alcohol, and this pity, this self-pity, and like, why can't I, for fuck's sake? And to be honest, if I didn't have a girlfriend at that point, I probably would have drank. You know, I stopped drinking for me. I don't want to drink. I know that it ruins my life. When I'm thinking like I am today, nice and rationally and stuff, you know, I don't want to drink. Even if I could drink normally again, like twice a week, I still wouldn't want to even. Because I know even if I wasn't alcoholic, it would still slow me down. Now, that's not getting at anybody that enjoys a drink or whatever. Everybody's in charge of their own life. That's just for me. You know, I'm at the stage, I'm in my mid-30s now, and I want to start, you know, building something for myself in my life, instead of just having this life where I work towards the weekend. A lot of people, when they get to my age, they've had kids and stuff and marriage, and, you know, I can understand that person's life revolves around their child now, you know, and having a drink at the weekend doesn't really affect that, and that's completely fine. But for me, I don't have a child, nor do I think I want children. So I need to build something in my sober life that's like worth living, or else my head's going to keep going back to that headspace of, sure, you're just living a boring old life, you know, maybe you should move to Africa, or maybe you should move to New Zealand, maybe you should move to Asia, and you'll have a much better life. Just screw making money and stuff in the north of Ireland. Why don't you go to an extremely crazy country that's completely new, just busk and live off £100 a day and live like a tramp, you know, which I fucking loved before, as I explained on I think the last podcast. But that's not where I am now. Where I am now is I want to start building stuff. You know, I want to build a life for myself. And, you know, in the past as well, you know, they say you should, like, you know, go for your dreams and stuff in life, which is completely true. But there's also, I read one time, you know, you need to learn when to let go of a dream as well. And my whole life, my dream was like to be this fucking ultra rich, famous musician, blah, blah, blah. But now it's like, I don't want that, you know. Even if I suppose if God came down and goes, here, have this, I probably would take it, because it would be different from what I have now. But I think after analysing it more and more, why I'm not being really happy in my sober life, it's like, it's because I've been so used to instant gratification, I think, that I want something, like, say for example, so right now I want to work in mental health. So I've got this podcast, which is a sort of ad lib mental health thing. It's more for me than it is for you, but it probably, I know it helps people listening as well, like, you know, and that also feeds into helping me, you know. But also at the moment I want to go back to study my counselling. So, but in my head I'm like thinking 4 years ahead because I got to do 4 years of study, and it's not there. It's I've been so used to like just getting things quickly to get like the dopamine hit in my brain, but now it's like I actually have to work towards something, and that's okay, you know. But I look at that and I'm like, fine, right? So at the moment I'm saving up money to pay the money to do my first year, but then I'm like, right, the podcast, I want the podcast to be bigger, and then I'm like, right, I need to do this, I need to do that, and then I watch some videos on marketing and stuff, and then within those videos something else pops up. Somebody I know is like traveling the world, and I'm like, fuck, I really want to travel as well. And then I say to my girlfriends, you know what, I'm gonna change that holiday that we're going on in Bangor, and maybe we should go to Paris or Berlin, or maybe we should go to a hot country. And then I start like searching, and I've done all this like yesterday. By the way, I literally, the flights booked to Paris because I got them cheap and all. And then I'm like, oh, but I wouldn't enjoy Paris without drink. And then it's this like catch-22. I can't do the things I want to do because I can only imagine the things being fun with alcohol. And I also put myself in harm's way because, you know, if I went to Paris, then there's a good chance, you know, unless I take real good precautions, there's a chance I could fuck it up, you know. So my head's racked with all these things, but everything is leading back to the mobile phone. So I've only really talked about the mobile phone creating anxiety within social media because you're seeing all these people doing good and stuff, and you feel like you should be doing better, and that's a big factor. And then another big factor is the procrastination element of it because it's so fucking addictive. But also, it's like the phone is selling, like the social media more so is selling me these dreams, you know. It's like TikTok, every 10 videos I flick, I have a new ambition for life, you know. And I've talked in the podcast before about how I get these addicted to ambition. And so I pick something I want that, blah, blah, blah. I'll talk about it, and then I'll forget about it. And then like a day later, I'm looking to do something completely new. And therefore, I never really sit down and keep focus on one thing. So at the moment, my life has just been podcast and gigging and trying to be a better boyfriend around the house, particularly like housework and things like that. And that's sort of been my life, you know. And then I take into account the advice I heard about stop looking at the grass being always greener on the other side and start looking at your life as it is now and just make it better. And then I'm like, okay, I'll make my band better, so we'll learn new songs, I'll get better at marketing, I'll buy new equipment, and that's okay. And then I'm like, I'll make the podcast better, I need to put more work into getting guests and stuff, which I'll talk about later. But and then my head's just, you know, I think about that, and then I look at something else and I'm like, I want more, you know. And it's just, I'm just like so unsatisfied, you know. And I know that the answer is, you know, I need to do the inner work, you know. And I can, you know, lots of people can do their inner work through, you know, spirituality, self-help books, counsellors, psychiatrists. You know, for me, it's through my AA program. So I know that that's what I need to do. But like, I'll go to an AA meeting and I'll think like that. And I'm like, right, I need to get a sponsor, I need to get on the program, I need to do this. But then I'll leave the meeting and then I'll go on my phone again, and then the phone will lead me to something else. And then I'll say, like, for instance, this podcast is a day late. I forgot to apologise, sorry. Say like yesterday, I'll leave a meeting and then I'm like, right, all I got to do today is do the podcast, and then you can put your feet up. And then I go on my phone and I'm sold a new dream. I'm thinking about acting now, going into movies, and you know. And then the next thing, okay, I'm bored of the phone. I've checked all the notifications across my 4 to 10 fucking social media accounts, and then it's like, oh, I'll play a game of chess because I feel like a cigarette and a cup of tea. And then I'll play the game of chess, and by the time I'm finished that 5 to 10 minute game of chess, I'm like, I'll just have a quick check on, I'll check how that video is doing on TikTok. I'll check if I have any messages about gigs at the weekend, you know. And the loop, and then the screen time goes up, and it's just like fucking hell. So anyways, you know, I did call a few people yesterday. So all this stuff is happening, and then I'm just on top of all that, I'm just thinking, I would just love to, I would be happy to just do my podcast, do my gigs, and have a wee beer in between all that. And fuck, I would be happy to do that, you know, if I didn't. But I need to play the tape forward. I need to look into the future in that sense, because I know that won't work. I'll delay the podcast a week, I'll delay it 2 weeks, then I'll stop doing it forever. Gigs, I'll start missing gigs. My band will leave me, my partner will leave me. I'll be fucking back in my parents' home, saving money to try and get a new home. Everything will be fucked, and then it might get so fucked that I'll be like, you know, fuck everybody, I'm moving to a new country, and then I'll go to that new country with a fresh start of drinking, and then it'll all start again, and then I'll move back home a year later, I'll be back where I started again, I'll be more fucked. It's just, as you can tell, I'm talking very fast, my head's been wrecked, but as I said, this is therapy for me, so I need to get it off my chest. So anyways, yesterday I was talking to someone who was saying I need to make my sober life better, you know, and then I was just had a good think about it all, trying to think methodically and not psychotically, and I realised I just really need to have a fucking solid plan, you know. And then there's the conundrum, there's the contradiction of planning too many things and putting too much pressure on myself and overwhelming myself, but I don't know what else to do. So my next stage is I listened to a friend, then I listened to Jordan Peterson, who was talking about addiction, and then he started talking about phone addiction, and then I got real sucked into that. And I'll not get into what he was saying, but basically it led me to going on to Amazon and buying not just a diary, like a super diary. So I've bought this diary, it's in the post, and it's basically breaks it all down. It's about setting all your goals for like the next year, and then putting those goals into like each month, like achievements for each month, and then just breaking down the day that way. So what I need to do is, so after that, right, so I bought that, and then I was like, right, well, I need to have that all the time on me, like a phone, because the other thing is I need to really start not using the phone. But when I'm not using the phone, I need to know what to do, and my brain's not good enough at remembering what to do for the day, and if I write little lists down, I fucking lose them and stuff. So I need the diary needs to be my new Bible, it needs to be my new phone. So I've got the diary, and instead of checking my phone all the time, I need to just look at my diary and see what I'm doing and keep on top of it. So if this diary coming, and then I was like, I need something to carry it in, and then I was like, right, well, a nice bag, that leads into the other thing, which is I'm spending too much time in the fucking house. I'm getting cabin fever, you know, I'm out gigging at the weekend, then I stay in the house. The only time I get out is to go to the shop, pick up my girlfriend, or walk the dog. And you know, I've been slacking on walking the dog lately as well, and even when I walk her, I'm giving her a shit walk. I need to be bringing her out where I can let her off the lead and let her roam, you know. She can hear me right now actually, but she doesn't understand English properly, so it's okay. But so I bought this bag, it was like £80-90, this leather satchel fancy bag. So that way I like the bag, you know, it's not like an old fucking Adidas bag from the 90s with a broken zip. It's like a bag I can respect. My laptop will fit in it, and my planner. So my new thing is, when this shit arrives, I'm going to sit down in a cafe to get out of the house. I'm going to start going to cafes, and then I'll have my computer with internet access if I need it, and then, you know, I'm going to fit that into a routine, and then I need to get my fucking morning routine going, and all these things are easy. It's just literally do it. But in order to do it, it's the phone. Everything leads back to the mobile fucking phone. And just as I said that, I realised I need to plug the fucking charger in case the battery dies. So give me 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. Sticking the charger in phone. That's it. And that's it now. So So that's my little rant over for 20 fucking minutes. Holy shit. So I bought all that, and so this craving slash lust and want for just fucking my whole life off to be able to drink again. This went through my head all day yesterday, more than 10 hours. And once I had that little methodical think, I talked to a friend, listened to Jordan Peterson, then and bought the things. I took action basically. You know, it could be an action that's just a fob off, you know, like I buy something and then I got a dopamine surge, but at least it made that go away yesterday. And then I was able to relax and I got some fast food and I just said, fuck it, I'm relaxing, watching TV tonight. So today I've been thinking about free will. There's a really great movie, if you can watch it. It's called Waking Life. I think it's on Amazon Prime. You probably have to pay £2 to watch it, but it's sort of like an animated show, and it's not like a standard normal movie, so you wouldn't watch it for fun. You watch it for like, it's really philosophical, it's inspiring, it's spiritual, it's mathematical, it's fucking mad. But there's a guy who talks about free will and the question of free will. Now, so like people who believe in like Christianity say would like are probably, I think so anyway, like religion, you know, they don't really believe in like free will in the sense that they think everything is predestined by God, you know. And you know, the question of free will, so when we do something in our lives, you know, it starts off with this like electrical response in the brain, and then these like neurons fire, and then they control like a muscle, and then you like extend your arm, say, or whatever. Now, in order for that first thing to happen, that electrical thing, it's like, what decides that happens, you know? And that would probably be a mix between your conscious and subconscious brain. But what's like before that, you know? Like, are we deciding what to do, or are we just all cogs in the big massive universe, and everything since the Big Bang is all predestined to happen? I mean, if I say, yeah, I'm going to move my arm this way in opposed to moving it that way, you know, is that already decided to move it that way? Or am I in that second or that moment deciding what to do? And are those actions preconceived already in my subconscious because of the external factors of the world? So, you know, like if you've seen that movie Butterfly Effect or whatever, you know, I maybe move my arm this way, but I maybe would have moved it that way if that door was open over there, you know. And then there's the conception of time, and there's like, okay, maybe I do have free will. I move my arm this way in this current universe that I'm in, but maybe the universe a second ago, or the universe, you know, I'm speaking in terms of, what do you call it, the multiverse or whatever. So there's like, you know, infinite parallel universes all running aside each other. And you know, I was thinking too deeply about all that, and it got me thinking about God. And you know, most people that I know, you know, we all grew up believing, you know, like a Christian God, like a man in the sky, and you know, he looks like Jesus, or else he's got grey hair and lives up in a big cloud, you know. And you know, as time has went on, you know, everyone else, our perception of what God is changing, you know, with the technology and communication and science, and there's just so many ideas of what God is. And the reason I'm thinking about this is because within my 12-step program, you know, you need to believe in a higher power. And I've been leaning back to a theory now that a higher power. So last week I was talking about hypnosis, okay? And the basis of hypnosis, in my opinion, and I think I'm right, is that you're basically programming the subconscious brain to do something. So that's why if you hypnotize someone to not feel anything in their hand, and then you put a needle through their hand, they can't feel it. But it's like, so if I hypnotize someone, say, to when I go to punch them, they don't react. So when you go to punch somebody and they flinch away, that's a subconscious reaction. They're not like in an instant just going, oh, there's a fist coming, I'm going to move away. They're just, it's a subconscious reaction. You know, if you do that to a baby, yeah, you shouldn't punch a baby, like, but, or pretend to punch a baby in case you accidentally do. But if you do that, as soon as, like, the baby's not going to flinch because it hasn't learnt that yet. You know, its subconscious brain hasn't learnt that. So if you hypnotize someone not to flinch, then they won't flinch. So in essence, hypnosis is a placebo, and that's not to downgrade hypnosis in any way, because it's a very powerful tool. A placebo is a very powerful tool. Lots of scientific research in the past has showed that a placebo can be effective in curing illness, you know, in one of these, like, you know, studies where they're a controlled scientific study where they give half the people, you know, I'm pretty sure that, like, I was going to say anti-AIDS, but let's just say a painkiller. Let's just say a painkiller, and then they give 50 people this painkiller and 50 people a sugar pill with no pain relief in it. And some of those people that take the placebo pill will experience pain relief, and that's because they believe the pill is going to relieve their pain, and therefore that is like fed into their brain, their subconscious brain. That's where your belief is held, in your subconscious. This is where we hold our beliefs. The conscious brain is only, you know, where you are right now in your head. You know, we aren't able to actually really, it's you can't like view your subconscious brain. We can only really see what our subconscious brain is doing by the actions we take, and then, you know, looking over those actions. So anyway, I'm going on a lot of tangents. So the conception of programming the subconscious mind through hypnosis in order to make people stop smoking, you know, in order to make people eat less, in order to make people procrastinate less. And this is where the idea of a higher consciousness. So this is my conception of God, I think, you know. I don't like the word God either, because it makes you think of the man in the sky, but this is where my conception of a higher power comes in, and I'm just thinking of it as a higher consciousness, you know. And this relates back to like biblical stuff you hear, like God is everywhere, God is everything, when consciousness is everywhere, because would everything be there unless we were directly experiencing it through our conscious awareness? You know? I was talking to someone earlier who was saying about, you know, they can't actually locate on the body where consciousness is. You know, we always thought it's in the head. You know, we think it's in our head because we look out of our eyes, and, you know, therefore we think our brain is like the consciousness experience and everything. But then, you know, there was things to show that your consciousness is in your gut, and then your consciousness is in every part of your body. And, you know, because we can perceive and stuff, although those signals go to the brain, but the brain's linked to the gut and the heart. So, and then there's the idea of collective consciousness, and we're all part of this one collective consciousness, all just perceiving the world as it is. And I don't know, I'm going crazy here. Anyway, so that made me believe or think about God and stuff, because about a higher power, because I'm going back and forth in my head about, you know, the AA program and stuff, and I need a higher power in my life, because the whole idea, once you admit that you're an alcoholic, and once you once you admit you're an alcoholic, you're meant to come to believe that a higher power can restore you to sanity. And sanity meaning you know, you're insane by going back to alcohol, even though you've seen that it ruins your life a bunch of times. But then you just think, I'll relieve that pain one more time, even though I'm damaging myself and everybody around me. So, you know, and then once you come to believe that that can happen, then you go on to like your step 4, and that's like basically writing down all the bad shit about yourself, all your resentments, and figuring out where that all links to within yourself. And then you're asking your higher power to remove all that stuff, you know. And you know, this is my problem. I end up picking this fucking shit apart, where it's same as hypnosis. I find it hard to get hypnotized because I'm always trying to fucking analyze and pick it apart, you know. But if somebody said to you, I'm going to hypnotize you to stop doing something that you really don't want to be doing anymore, whether that's eating too much, procrastinating, not going to the gym enough, or stopping smoking or something, you know, would you want to pick it apart? Do you really need to understand it, or would you rather just believe it works and then do it and then it works? So, you know, I think that's the whole idea with AA as well. I could be wrong, but that's just my opinion. So I'm trying not to pick it apart, but I guess I sort of am right now. But you know, and then I guess, you know, that would link to praying and saying prayers, and this just doesn't link to alcoholism. This can link to just people who believe in God and stuff as well. And you know, this is just my opinion, so don't take offense if you're religious or whatever. You know, you're feeling sad because somebody is, you know, somebody's very sick or something, your child's sick or your parent's sick or something, and you're praying to God, please help, blah blah blah. And I think, you know, that's like a self-hypnosis almost, to sort of relieve your anxiety, because you're like, oh, it's in God's hands now, you know. And even though God might not be real, but the believing that in your subconscious brain stops you feeling the anxiety as much, you know. That's my theory anyway. So, and that's why I think, you know, if you pray to God to stop me being so angry today, which I do a lot, please remove this jealousy from me, please remove this craving for alcohol, then praying does work, you know. But who am I? I'm just a regular old dude who watched too much fucking internet for a day, and I'm just giving you my opinion where I stand now, you know. So that's the crack, you know. So I'm waiting on this diary to come, I'm waiting on my briefcase to come, or my man bag or satchel or whatever you want to call it, and then I'm going to write down everything, you know. In 1 year's time I want to be more flexible, because I've got a really bad chronic illness, which I haven't really talked about in the podcast yet. I'm going to leave that to another episode. I want to be doing so much business in one side business. I want to be doing more of these type of gigs with my band. I want the podcast to be having this amount of guests on, and you know, all these things, you know. And even financially, I want to be saving. So another thing is, I want to get out of debt. I've been sort of just ignoring my debt for a couple of years now, and I realized I can never build money up for saving for anything until I get out of that debt. So I'm going to put a plan together to start paying that off, building my credit rating as well, in case I want to get a house and stuff in the future. And yeah, but again, you know, that's where my crazy brain comes in. I'll be like, I want to start paying off debt, and then I'll write down on a page, right, call Capital One, the credit card company, tomorrow. And then, you know, I'll wake up tomorrow, I'll procrastinate on that, I'll be on my phone, I'll be like, oh fuck, I don't want to call Capital One today, I'll do it tomorrow, you know. Whereas I need to get a diary and get all these things written down, and even if I forget them, because if I have like 10 objectives one week and then the next week I don't do 5 of them, then I'll write the 5 down for the next week, but then I'll procrastinate more, and slowly but surely over time I'll just forget all the things I was doing. I'll be doing completely new things, you know. So I need this diary to set the goal for a year. I need a fucking goal for 1 year's time, and then I can manage it. I can make the objectives SMART. I've heard of SMART objectives, SMART. I think it's a specific goal. So you be really specific, as in, you know, the amount of time, you know, within 1 year, I will have X amount of customers doing this specific thing. And then M is measurable, so like the amount, and blah blah blah. A is achievable, so is it achievable? You know, don't be setting yourself, I'm gonna be a multi-billionaire in 1 year. R, realistic. Okay, A maybe isn't achievable, I can't remember. R is realistic and T is time. So anyway, I need to set those goals for 1 year, and then I need to make them realistic enough that I can do them and not overwhelm myself, because I gotta take the fact that I'm in early recovery for alcoholism into account. And if I overwhelm myself with too many things, then it can rack my head. But also it'll mean if I relapse even once, then I'll completely fuck it all up, and I can't have that. So that's made me comfortable thinking I'm going to do that. But the number one thing I need to do in order to be able to do that, two things, is get out of the house when I'm not working gigs and I'm not doing a podcast. I need to get out of the house every day, walk the dog, go to the gym, fucking do these, go to the cafe, sit on the computer and plan the day, plan the week, plan the month. And the phone is the big one, you know. So anyway, I was going to talk on this episode about reality TV. So I've went on reality TV. I don't know why I'm talking about it. I mean, it can link it to alcohol. All of the times I went on, and ego and want for things, you know. So I guess, you know, I was always looking to be a famous musician when I was younger. And even though in the last 15, 20 years, I've sort of not had that dream anymore, but it's still sort of there, you know. It's not there now because I've got new things I want to do, different things. But anyway, the first time I remember I was busking one day, and this TV crew were like scouting for people for a TV show, and they asked me to be on this like dating show called Beauty and Queen and Single on BBC. And I went, and my instant thought was, oh, TV, exposure, sing a song, you'll be famous, basically, you know. And that's okay, you know. I'm not shunning TV or reality TV. A lot of people wouldn't do it because they think it's fucking ridiculous. I would never watch it, to be honest. I think it's pure trash. But it was an exciting experience doing it. I enjoyed it, and also thought, you know, I could use it to promote music. But the thing is, I had no fucking music to promote. Me running about saying I'm gonna make it as a musician and don't even have a fucking song on Spotify, you know. So I basically, long story short, I went on this show, and the night before, this comes back to my fucking self-sabotage. So I was still drinking and everything, and I went to a friend's house the night before. I sat up sniffing cocaine and drinking alcohol, and I had to be there at like 11 in the morning in Belfast to go on a fucking date with some fucking model, and me at 4 o'clock in the morning sniffing cocaine, drinking the head of myself, going, oh fuck. And then I booked a taxi, or I couldn't book a taxi, had to call a fucking parent to come pick me up, had to go home and then go the next day. And holy shit, like there was a girl who was part of the show who like just sat talking to me before I'd done the show for like an hour or two, just keeping me company and getting me in a talkative mood before they rolled the cameras. And I had to go to the toilet twice to vomit, and I was just so fucking ill and full of anxiety. And it's so mad, like, in that, if I had done what I had done the night before, say like last night, I would be lying in bed just going, oh God. And this is the power of the mind, the power of anxiety. That anxiety actually made me actually go to that thing because I wanted it so bad as well, you know, and I was able to function normal. And if you watch that show, it is not evident at all that I am completely fucked off my brain. But the best of it is, I've rewatched it recently, and the best of it is, on that show, I am literally sitting talking pure garbage to that girl. I am sitting telling her, yes, I've been doing yoga in the mornings, and then I make myself a little smoothie, and and on the TV show, you're only seeing like a fucking 1% of the bullshit I must have talked during the date, you know. So holy Jesus, I just remember feeling so bad that day, and the only thing that brought me round a little tiny bit was on the date. You get to have 1 pint, and they give me a pint of Guinness, and oh God, I loved it. But when it was finished, I was like, ugh. But anyways, so I did that, and in my head it's going to air and I'm going to do really well and everything. And like when you're doing the show, they keep telling you you're doing great, you're amazing, because all the staff, they're there to make you feel special and everything, so that you'll come out of your shell when you're on cameras and stuff. And you know, I always put on this voice when I'm on TV. I call it I've probably done it in this podcast near the start actually. I call it the interview voice. I always laugh when I put a camera on my dad or something, you know, and it's just like, instead of talking like this here, the way you talk, it's just like, yes, instead of talking the way I talk, I'm just doing this right now, and this is, you know what I mean, you know what I mean. Put a camera on yourself and you'll see how you act. You always act differently, you know, so it's important to be real comfortable and stuff, and it's very hard to be comfortable when you've had about 2 hours sleep, you're coming off fucking cocaine and alcohol, and you're just like, ah. But anyways, so I done that show. Around that time, I had booked a house in Cork. I rented a house for 2 months because I wanted to get away from the world to actually write music, you know. And my idea was to go there, not have a phone or a laptop. See, I've been having this problem my whole life with fucking technology. And to just basically read books, go for walks, cook nice food, and write songs all day for 2 months with talking to nobody, no civilization around me. And I'll talk about that another podcast, what I'd done there. But anyway, the show came out when I was there, and I can't remember how it went down. I think what happened was I was there, and then the show had come out on like iPlayer, and I hadn't won it. Or maybe the show, I can't remember if the show came out in iPlayer or something like that. But basically I hadn't won the show. I didn't win the date or whatever. And then I got a call saying you did win, even though we had filmed the show already and I didn't win. And I was like, but I didn't win. She told me no, she picked someone else. And then they were like, no, Daryl, you've won. And I'm like, I know, but I didn't. Can you tell me? Like, I'm happy to go back on camera to shoot again, but can you tell me why? And she's like, don't ask questions, just you won. So I don't know what happened there. I think the guy that won must have maybe got married or something and just dropped out or something like that. But anyway, they took me back. My memory's a bit fizzy. I can't remember if I was in Cork or not, but I went back and shot it again, and then they had me win. And then, no, I think it came out in Cork because I remember running to another house to try and get an internet connection to watch the bloody thing. So when I watched it, I was like, brilliant, I'm going to be famous. So this is the main thing also, sorry. I sang a song, I brought my guitar in the show. That was the whole idea for me, was to be able to sing an original song. And I fucked it up. You know, I had this song called Acid Rain, and oh my god, my voice was so fucking croaky. I had no game when I was singing, you know, I was scared out of my fucking mind. I full of anxiety just not to vomit in the first place, never mind sing a fucking song with about 7 cameras around the room on me and then trying to impress some girl in front of me as well. So it was a complete fucking nightmare, but I got away without making too much of a cunt of myself. And yeah, and that was that. So anyway, a couple of years passed, I went travelling and all the rest, and or maybe this was after I travelled the first time. I can't even... No, it was before. And then a few years ago, the second time I went reality TV, I got a phone call from the same company saying they were doing a show called There's No Place Like Tyrone. And I was like, yeah, whatever, can I play music on it? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, cool. And then they realised my dad would be fun to have on it, so me and him, we done a couple of interviews, you know, and we ended up, they picked us for it. And within the amount of, I had started shooting that show, and within that time I got a message on Instagram from another company saying, would you like to be on a reality TV show based in England called Secret Crush, and blah blah blah, and we're looking for a busker. That's what it was. And I was like, yeah. So I agreed to that. So I was shooting one whilst planning to fly to another one, and then I was like, fucking hell, I'm going on all these reality TV shows, and this is mad, you know. And yeah, so I went and done both shows and everything. So I done the Tyrone show, the first half of it, before, I think it was before COVID or the middle of COVID or something, and we shot a good bit of it, but then we had to shoot more of it. And I remember going to it, and I can't remember where I was or what I was doing, but I was on the rip for about fucking, I don't know, 2 weeks or something. I was really not well, like proper not well, like struggling to, you know, walk without vomiting or shaking or anything like that. And I actually postponed. There was a whole camera crew of people coming to meet me, and I made up the biggest fucking lie. And it was a half lie. My back was pretty fucking sore. I said I've got this problem with my spine, that I couldn't do the show, you know, but it was mostly, you know, drink related, you know, drink fucked me up, you know. So if that person ever hears me saying that right now, who was directing the show or whatever, a huge apology. I didn't mean to, but it is what it is. Anyway, it's good to be honest. So yeah, I ended up going. I was still at the tail end of my binge when I actually went to do the actual shooting. I think it was the very next day or the 2 days later. And if you watch that show, the No Place Like Tyrone show, not during the scenes where I'm like running about doing things, but during the scenes where the camera's right on my face and I'm wearing like a black leather jacket and there's like a coloured background behind me, just like a colour, I can see in my eyes how fucked I am. Like I am losing my soul. But whilst putting on, this is how good I am at putting on a fucking mask. If I hadn't have told you that, you'd probably just think that's the way I am. But, you know, upon seeing me or listening to me on this podcast now, if you actually watch that, you would realise I am hurting bad inside, but I'm putting on this fake face, making jokes to my dad beside me, just going, sure dad, shut up would you, you know, blah blah blah, and oh god. But got through it. Thought doing music, we wrote a full song for that show, and I don't even think they played like the actual song on the show. And that song, funny enough, has ended up being the only song I have on Spotify under Busker Man. It's the only song, and it's called I'm Coming Home Tyrone. And it's I didn't even fucking write most of the thing, you know, and it's just it's so cheesy, and it's a good song and stuff if you're into that sort of thing, but for me it's not my type of song. Plus I can't sing that type of stuff, you know. I don't have a country voice at all, and that was part of the funny stuff in the show. We tried to recreate what actually happened when we were recording the song, which is me trying to sing the song and my dad criticising my singing, giving me shit and saying things like, why are you doing that little girly at the end of your phrase you're singing, and I'm like, that's just how I sing. And also when I was recording the song the first time, I was bloody fucking dying again. You know, this is my life, you know, always trying to do things, you know. I'm not saying always trying to do reality TV, I just mean in anything I do. And then getting something cool to do, some cool new project, and then fucking myself, my body and my soul and my mind up before I do the thing. And then I do the thing half-assed, and then I don't even feel like I want to stand behind it afterwards, you know, because I'm so ashamed of what it was like. So that was hard. But anyway, we'd done the show, and you know, I was drunk watching all these shows when they aired, and it was great crack, you know. I enjoyed it. And then the other one, the Secret Crush one, that was like, I got to fly to London for that, and you know, when I got there, so I'd written a song for the show, and well, my dad actually wrote it again, because my dad's the king of writing cheesy music. And I flew over, and I didn't know all the words of the song, and I find it hard to remember lyrics a lot, you know. So I was brainstorming the lyrics, playing the song over and over again, trying to learn it. And then when I got over there, I said, right, well, I've nothing to do that whole evening, and we're shooting in the morning, so I'll just spend that evening relaxing and going over the song 1,000 times. And then they give me these credits to, like, you know, I could I spend money in anywhere, and they would give me the money back, and they give me like, you know, like £40 or whatever as a tab that I could spend. So I just said, I'll go get some food. I'm in London. I'm rarely in London. I went to this fucking flies, man. I went to this swanky Italian place, and in the swanky Italian place, I ordered, you know, this lovely dish with like spaghetti and salmon and broccoli and stuff, and it was gorgeous. And you know, normally, you know, you order your drinks. You know, my plan was to not drink, you know, and normally you order your drinks from the menu. But in this place, they just walk around with the house red, and they just have a bottle and just walk up to you and say, would you like a glass of wine? So I wasn't fucking prepared for this guy asking me. And just in that moment, you know, he caught me off guard. You know, all my thinking of, you know, right, just avoid looking at the alcohol and get yourself a Coke and order the food and you'll be fine. And then, excuse me, sir, would you like a glass of red wine? And I'm just, you know, I'm snapped out of it. And then I'm like, oh, yes, absolutely, you know. And then he pours a little glass. Then I bargain with myself. I'm like, I'll just have one glass. And then I'm near to finished it, and I'm like, that was so nice, that glass, and I'm feeling very warm and anti-anxious and stuff. Sorry if you're watching and you're seeing me moving my hands. There's a fucking fly in the room, and it's annoying me. That's the thing about summertime, fucking flies. I think I hit him. Anyways, so after that, I got another glass of red wine, and then I think I had like 3 glasses of red wine, maybe a bottle, and then I said to myself, well, I can't stop there. I'll bring a couple of beers to the flat, just a couple, and then I'll go over my song. And then I ended up buying a bigger carry-out than I needed. I can't remember what I got, but I know I got like one of them those little tins that has the gin in it, and a couple of beers, and I think I got a bottle of wine as well. I can't remember, but I went back to the apartment. I ended up talking to friends all night on the phone, and then I ran out of drink, and then I realised, shit, I need to be in good shape for the show tomorrow. I need to be hydrated. So I just literally sat on the toilet going over the lyrics drunk and knacking water, and I must have drank like 4 litres of water sitting on the toilet just reading the lyrics over and over again. And then of course the whole next day I had to fight to hold back the vomiting, and when I'm trying to fight to hold back the vomiting, I get this like reflux thing where like it feels like my stomach contents are slowly going up my esophagus, and I need to cough because they start to go into like my lungs, you know, and I need to constantly cough, and then I have this like chronic cough all the time, and that can happen after I eat spicy food and stuff or smoke too much. It's kind of gone away a lot recently, which I'm so thankful for, but it gets really bad after drinking alcohol. So I was like spending the whole day, and this was in the middle of COVID as well, by the way. So all the producers and stuff are walking around asking me questions, and I'm just saying, yeah, I can't wait to do the show. I'm really happy. Constantly coughing to the point where they're like, are you all right? And I'm like, yeah, I've just bad reflux today and stuff. So that was nerve-wracking enough. And then I had to remember the song. So if you watch that show, I'm walking on there. It is so obvious to me, again, when I'm talking, that I am suffering bad behind or in front of the camera. I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm a guy from Ireland, blah, blah, blah. But, so that was really hard as well, you know, and yeah, so I went home, I got drunk when that thing fucking aired as well, and yeah, that was my experience in reality TV, you know, just fucking drunk the whole time, really. And the best of it is that fucking one of those shows ended up on Gogglebox. So it was like, it happened once, and then I think I went on a binge after that. And then in the middle of that binge, somebody texted me or something. I think I got a load of text messages from people going, holy fuck, lad, you're on Gogglebox. I was like, fuck, this is mad. But, so it's nearly an hour already. So the thing is, you know, when I was doing all those shows, if I was asked to do another show like that again, would I do it? Absolutely not. Would I go on TV in general? Maybe, depending on the show. Would I go on something in regards to dating, or, you know, some bullshit that's basically me doing it in order to feed my ego, in the sense that I will promote music and become a world famous musician, which is like the fucking fucked up thing in my head that I'm thinking at the time when doing these things. No, I will not do that, you know. And that was the experience. Did I learn anything from it? Not really, you know. I was just drunk all the time and stuff. I guess, you know, I don't regret it. It's always fun to have that, you know. I can look at that when I'm 65 years old and, you know, I was going to say show to my grandchildren, but the fact that I don't want children means that I won't have grandchildren, but I'll show to other people's grandchildren and laugh. Actually, that'll be weird if a 65-year-old man's walking about showing himself on a reality TV show to children. It's weird as fuck. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to speak about that. I thought it's a lot of people that actually sort of half know me or know of me through the internet would know of me through those things. So I thought it was important to maybe just chat about them, you know. And you know, it's important to realize, no matter how I've portrayed myself on social media before, how I've portrayed myself on these TV shows, or how I portray myself in general, how everybody portrays themselves on fucking the internet, you know, that's not how it is, you know. That's not how it really is in reality, in your brain, and how things are actually happening around you. You know, when I'm doing those shows, some people look at them and be like, well, some people look at it and just go, what a fucking idiot. But other people look at it and go, fuck, he's doing really well for himself. He's on TV, he's playing music, he's doing pretty well for himself. But really, I'm just like getting fucking drunk and being a waster, and just landed on these things by luck, and just had a little bit of balls and a little lack of dignity to do these things, you know. So that's my experience doing the reality TV. I was meant to have a guest this week, but my guests keep falling through due to, you know, different reasons and stuff. And, you know, I have a funny feeling that I maybe just need to get the first one done, the first guest podcast, in order for other people to see it and then feel more relaxed about doing it, because, you know, some of the people's excuses have been like legitimate, obviously, and other people's have been, you know, a little loose, you know, and that's fine, you know. We all get anxiety. I think some people are just anxious because they haven't seen a guest episode yet, and they're probably seeing how fucking honest I am when I'm talking about myself, you know, and they're maybe shitting themselves, you know. But like, you know, that's not what I'm getting guests on to do. I'm not like, come and tell me every little aspect about your life. You know, if I get a guest on, we're going to have a sit down beforehand, talk about where you don't want to go and stuff like that. and then just have a conversation and see where it leads. Other guests are actually afraid that they're not interested enough, but it's not about, this isn't the Joe Rogan podcast, this is the fucking Get the Finger Out podcast. The whole point is people that aren't fucking, rich and famous. The whole point is people that are trying to sort their lives out, and their experience, and through talking about their experience of trying to sort their lives out, might help somebody else and will help them by just talking about it. So on that note, I'm still open for guests. I do have a good list of people that I do want to come on, but if anybody would like to contact me and get on the podcast, if you feel like you have a story to tell and you'd like to have a conversation with me, then please get in touch and I'll add you to the list, and hopefully we'll get you on. I'll just say that I can't get everybody on that asks to go on, because maybe A, it won't suit the podcast, or B, it'll be too much of a thing that's the same as another person that's already talking. So if I don't get you on immediately in the first 10 people or something, please don't be offended. It's just I'm trying to get around a broad array of topics and things like that. So if you'd like to be a guest in the podcast, please do jump on. And again, I forgot to thank everybody at the start. Thank you so much for everyone who's liked and shared the podcast. Please give it a little follow. I'm blowing up on TikTok at the moment. Not really, but I'm making a lot of videos on TikTok. The TikTok videos a lot of them are mostly geared towards alcoholism more than mental health and alcoholism. But if that's the sort of stuff you're listening for and that interests you, then follow me on TikTok. I'm gonna go. Have a lovely day, and I hope I can get a guest for next week, but I'm going to stop just saying that. I'm just going to surprise you with a guest some week, but at the minute I'm sort of building the podcast back up to where it was around the fucking 5th or 6th episode, because I lost a bit of steam at one point. So I'm just going to keep putting out episodes. The guests will come eventually. Good things will come, and hopefully my week starts getting very productive as soon as I get this diary. So I'll let you know all about that next week. Also, I've had a couple of questions come in from people, so I'm just gathering them all up for a little list, and then I'll do a podcast one day where I just answer all the questions. So if you have any questions or anything like that you'd like to ask me in regards to my life, in regards to maybe something I could help you with, or in regards to, alcoholism, or just anything, or just an interesting topic to talk about, please send me a message. It's great to hear feedback from people. Last week I got a lot of good feedback, and it's great to hear from people so we can get a 2-channel communication thing going. So on that note, I'm away. This is Get the Finger Out podcast. My name's Darl, and live the fucking dream.
I need to get this finger out of my hole. I've been walking the road too damn long. I'm a cripple and a riddle with doubt. I need to get the finger out.